Major news is emerging directly from the world of Formula One. There is growing speculation that Christian Horner may be living his final moments as the team principal of the Austrian outfit. But in such a delicate situation, and with the new regulations disrupting Red Bull's trajectory, will they manage to find a suitable replacement in Oliver Oakes? And if not, who else could be on the list of candidates for such a crucial position? It is evident that Red Bull has faced several setbacks recently, especially last year, when it lost significant authority due to the investigation involving Horner. On the other hand, he has been with the team since its very foundation, and letting him go now would be much more than a simple leadership change. Even so, reports indicate that Red Bull may be willing to make that move. Several respected media outlets suggest that Horner might be dismissed already after the upcoming Grand Prix of Emilia-Romagna. The fact that Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri are leading the championship, while Max Verstappen has very slim chances of claiming the title in the year 2025, despite the team having already used a large portion of the 2026 budget, created discomfort within the management. Horner was only retained previously because he was granted additional authority after the internal audit concluded. However, so far, the expected results have not been delivered. The recent departures of key figures such as Adrian Newey, Jonathan Wheatley, and Ben Waterhouse have deeply shaken the team. Now it is clear that the internal dynamics are no longer functioning as they once did. Verstappen has been direct in stating that the update packages are insufficient and that the gap to McLaren is too wide to be closed with only technical tweaks. Even the current technical director, Pierre Wache, who has Horner's full support, may soon start to feel the heat. Still, since the final responsibility lies with Christian, it is his task to convince Red Bull's leadership that there is still a promising path ahead. In addition to coverage by British media, a German publication known as OE24 also brought new developments regarding Horner's future. Whenever the German press comments on Red Bull, it is impossible not to think of Helmut Marko. The senior advisor has a history of speaking to the press from his own country or neighboring regions, which gives more credibility to what was reported about Horner's instability. Whether these rumors will come true remains to be seen. However, two names are already circulating as possible successors. One of them is Oliver Oakes, former team principal of Alpine. Although there are signs that his relationship with the French team remains strong and that he is still committed to his current role, it is unlikely that he would turn down a high-profile offer from Red Bull. Naturally, the scandal involving him and his brother will need to be carefully evaluated, since no one wants to swap one controversial leader for another. Another candidate being considered is Franz Tost, former head of AlphaTauri, who has extensive experience in Formula One. More importantly, he is very familiar with the Austrian team's operations, which could make the transition smoother if Horner leaves. Tost led the Italian squad from the year 2020 to the year 2023, and he may be ready to return to a leadership position alongside former colleagues. After all, in Formula One, things can change drastically in a matter of days. It is also essential to point out that Red Bull has officially denied any immediate threat to Horner's position. However, such denials may be part of a strategic approach to protect the team's image in the competitive landscape. Having 2 decades of experience within the same structure should not be underestimated. The main issue Horner is currently facing is the team's underwhelming performance. The recent updates are not delivering results, and according to reports, a significant part of the 2026 budget was already spent to remain competitive in 2025. This move is highly risky, as it jeopardizes 2 seasons at once, especially with expectations that teams like Ferrari and Mercedes will regain dominance with more powerful engines. But it is not just Red Bull's performance being questioned under Horner's leadership. There are still unresolved internal disputes between him and Helmut Marko. At certain points, they put their disagreements aside to address technical issues, but that cooperation no longer seems to be a priority. The situation surrounding Horner appears increasingly unstable. Julien Simon-Chaud-Tomps, a former Formula One race engineer, discussed the matter with the British newspaper Mirror. He stated that Horner leaving would not surprise anyone, given all that has happened recently. Julien also emphasized that anything is possible in the paddock. Horner is currently the longest-serving team principal on the grid, but he faced major challenges last year. He was in a very delicate situation. Seeing him leave Formula One would not be surprising. This is a highly unstable environment, and dramatic changes can occur within weeks. Another interesting factor is the timing of these reports. Horner and Red Bull are about to celebrate their 400th Grand Prix together, precisely at Imola, marking a milestone in a journey that began back in the year 2005. However, for the dismissal to take place, there would need to be agreement between both ownership factions, the European and the Asian. Recent reports suggest that the Thai stakeholders, who hold the majority of shares, might be losing interest in keeping Horner. That would explain why he remained in charge, despite all the recent controversy. But now, with a report from Autosprint indicating that this critical support might be fading, his position has become even more fragile. So what would Horner's plan be to prove that he still has control of the situation? His primary focus would be on the year 2025, as the current season is practically lost. Verstappen is in third place in the Drivers' Championship, and there is a controversial exit clause in his contract that needs to be addressed before the summer break. According to Helmut Marko, that break will be decisive for the team. If Verstappen is not among the top three by then, it will become even harder to retain him. Other teams like Mercedes and Aston Martin have already shown interest, so the main challenge is how to improve the car's performance without further depleting the 2026 budget. Everything points to the cards being laid on the table at the Grand Prix of Barcelona, where Red Bull hopes that McLaren's dominance will be reduced by the new front floor regulation introduced by the International Automobile Federation. Since it appeared in the year 2024, this component has caused much debate, and the governing body has now allowed teams to make necessary adjustments before the rule is enforced definitively starting in Barcelona. According to Horner, even if the new rules slightly slow down McLaren and allow the rest of the grid to get closer, the remainder of the year 2025 will be extremely unpredictable, which may also influence whether he remains at Red Bull. He explained that there will certainly be an impact. Predicting how much it will affect competitors versus Red Bull's own performance is difficult, but there is no doubt it is a major change. It is not a minor tweak. It will affect every car. The real question is, by how much? There are still 24 races on the calendar. A long journey lies ahead. McLaren currently looks incredibly strong, especially coming out of Miami. Things may change, but the team needs to step up and start scoring points in the upcoming rounds. Even Horner himself admits there is no magic fix or, as he said, no eureka moment to dethrone McLaren, especially considering they have two very strong drivers up front. That was not the case during Red Bull's dominance, when Sergio Pérez had to fight hard to keep second place alive in the year 2023. In the seasons of 2022 and 2024, that spot went to a rival instead of Red Bull's second driver. Regardless of all this, Red Bull faces a monumental challenge, and whether we like it or not, Horner's position is clearly under threat, not only because of what has already happened, but also due to what lies ahead, with a new era of the sport fast approaching. With all this in mind, what do you think about Christian Horner's possible departure from Red Bull? And more importantly, do you believe the team will finally take a more positive direction after everything that has occurred in recent months? Let us know in the comments and then click the video now appearing on your screen.